Welcome everyone to another episode of the Broker Journey. And this one is going to be a doozy, my friends, because I got two awesome people joining me today. Two people that have definitely made a mark on this industry the last couple of years, just not only with what they're building and their brokerage, but also with an event that I know that you have heard of. So I'm excited to talk to them, learn a bit more about them today, and get into what they're doing. So without any further ado, I'd like to welcome John and Joe. How are you guys doing?
Doing good, thanks. We're glad to be here.
Awesome. And so it was funny because everyone that knows me knows that I'm like a name killer. So I was asking John, I'm like, hey, how do you pronounce your last name? So Motowidlak, right? Is that it? Did I
right?
Get it right? Okay. All right. So it's one of those things that I have to get into. So I know probably about 6 months I'll get it down at some point, but now I'll just have to kind of enunciate it a little bit. But hey guys, thank you for taking time out of your day. I know you guys are super busy for joining me. So what I like to do on the broker journey is get to know people, but not only that, but you guys are obviously doing some awesome things on the broker channel. And so what I also like is that story and just your passion, your drive, the things that you think about, all of that stuff, I think helps for other people that are like, look, how do I become the best version of myself? How do I, learn really about how to play at a high level in the mortgage game? And so that's why I kind of like to peel back the layers and just, ask questions. And so it's not just about me learning, but it's about the audience learning from you guys. So I don't know who wants to start, but give me the journey, give me the story. How did you guys get started in this freaking nutso industry that we're in?
I'll start, Joe. This is basically all I've ever known. I went from an annuity call center, taking hundreds of phone calls a day from New York stockbrokers, to my cousin got me a job over at Bank of America processing, back then the Making Homes Affordable Act, the FHA streamlines. And this was back in it just turned 08. So it's kind of when everything started to go crazy. Mm-hmm. And I just kind of worked my way through a few different companies until I eventually had an idea to focus on the lifestyle of the broker and try to enhance the way that they spent their time, the way that they branded themselves, empower them with a bunch of tools, and create a company full of cool culture. So I brought Joe in very early. He ran a fantastic operations. His background's from Disney. So I'll let Joe a little bit about that.
Yeah, I did not expect to be in the mortgage industry at this time in my life. I thought I was going to be a Disney lifer, essentially. So I started with Disney in 2005, right out of college. Got a management internship there and just kind of bounced around to a bunch of different places over 15 years. Did a lot in retail, merchandise operations, event operations. And the last thing I was doing, I managed all of the spa and salon locations on properties. But right around March 2020, a little thing called COVID happened. And believe it or not, touching people and communicable diseases do not go hand in hand. So they did shut down the parks for a while, put the majority of the workforce on furlough. When they decided to open everything back up, they decided not to open up the spas. So unfortunately, everybody in that department was laid off. But before that happened, I was going nuts at home, right? I was home with our 1.5-year-old and I was talking to John. He said, hey, why don't you come process loans for me? I said, all right, let me see this. How hard can this be, right? Like how hard could this really turn out to be? Well, it turned out to be pretty damn hard and definitely a different type of stress that I was used to. And he said, hang tight. I got something for you that I think that we could do. I'm going to start a company and I think you could help run operations. And essentially, he told me, you know what, once Disney calls you back, you can go back to Disney, but help me get it up and running. And that was 5 years ago, and I'm still here. So Disney did call me back, but I decided to stay with my Mpire family. So
that's all. Now, is the Disney piece, was that only in Orlando, or did you go out to California as well?
That was only in Orlando. So, but Disney is basically the largest workforce in Florida, about 75,000 people. So
Okay.
it's 40 square miles. So it's almost kind of like bouncing around the island of Manhattan, really
Yeah.
is what it is. So I worked a lot of ground, even though I didn't end up going over to California for the most part.
Gotcha. So 5 years ago, that's when the Empire story started, and you guys have built. So so how many people did you start with, and then where are you at today?
So we started with 3 people. It's Joe, myself, and individual named Norm. Today we're north of 225 brokers, roughly. We'll close about $1 billion this year.
Nice.
High hopes for next year to do even more.
Mm-hmm. Nice. And so like if you're when you got into start now, so you started in 2020 was when you started Empire?
May 2021 was when we officially launched.
Gotcha. And so when you were starting, did you have any type of, obviously things were, I guess that the answer would have been different in 2020 when things looked like they're about to, kind of fall off a cliff into, getting into the boom. But like, did you have any reservations with like how the industry was or anything starting on your own? Was there anything that you were like, it's a risk, but it's one we're willing to take? Or was it, you're just super confident, like, hey, this is the time to start what we're doing?
I really felt like it was the time to strike. And ideally, I wish I did it, a good year before I actually did it to capture more of that nice refinance boom. But it just felt right. We had a great game plan of how we were going to do things and a vision of where we wanted to take the company and what we wanted to focus on. And everything was right there for us to strike. So it was perfect timing, I'd say. If not, I wish we did a little bit sooner.
Nice. And tell me about Empire. Tell me about the culture. So if you could sum it up, like what if you're trying to explain to someone that's whether it's a loan officer or someone looking at maybe changing up where they're at, what's it like to be part of the Empire fam?
So I personally think that we're a very unique breed, right? We're individuals that like to work smart. That don't necessarily believe that you have to work 80 hours a week anymore and kind of do that rigorous grind. We think that there's ways to utilize technology, resources, outsource properly, and have a team around you to really give you a nice lifestyle behind this job. I love this career. I think it's one of the best careers out there, aside from, like an NBA player or whatnot. But if you do it right, you can really have a very high-paying lifestyle and a lot of freedom to it. So that was the goal in mind, was to really give people the tools that they need to build their own company within a company, I guess you could say. Take our platform and grow.
Gotcha. Joe, what would you say? What would you add to that?
So like when I came into this industry, it was an adjustment, right? I was coming from the happiest place on earth, and we were making dreams and sunshine and rainbows for everybody. And I quickly found out that sometimes this industry cannot be like that, right? So when we were building Empire, I said to John, I want operations to focus on the experience. I want the experience to feel natural. I want the experience to feel welcoming and friendly. I want our interactions within the industry to be that way as well, right? So he completely agreed. So when we were building our operations team and our workforce, we brought people from Disney. We had a whole bunch of laid off people from Disney that we brought on, who are now some of our C-level executives here, right? And that was the key. The culture and the thing about Empire is that we focus on not only the experience of our guests or our clients, but we focus on the experience of the LO here too, right? So because from an operations perspective, the LO is our guest. We're taking care of them just as much as we're taking anybody who's putting in a 10-3. So that's kind of that's, if I could sum up the culture, it's about experience and making sure that experience is something that you don't get anywhere else. So.
Gotcha. That it actually makes a lot of sense now, because I see a lot of what you all do, and the first thing that comes to my mind always is creativity, right? And so if you have a lot of people that are basically from, like you said, kind of that magical world of being creative, customer experience, service, and all of that. And, my wife and daughter are huge Disney heads. We had, we from California. So I grew up during the summers in Orange County. So I went to Disneyland every single day, and we had the season passes when we lived in California. But we know firsthand like what that service means, right? And how you're treating the guests and whatnot. So it does make a lot of sense that you would inject that in there. And I think it also, from my standpoint, is one of the things where I found with mortgage companies where you tend to get kind of like the stale rinse and repeat of just like, hey, it's a mortgage company, we're kind of the same, as opposed to those that do stand out is because they have people outside of the industry that are just taking what they learned, and it's not maybe like a one-to-one from like, hey, I did this, so I'll be able to process loans, but it's more of like, hey, I did all this creative things, and so to me it's more of like the opening of the mind so they could think differently about whether it's challenges or solutions. So it definitely makes a lot of sense from what I see on the outside. So that's awesome. If you were to look at the last few years of what you guys have built, what would you say maybe stands out as like a moment where you were like, I mean, were you always, I guess I should ask it this way, like, were you always looking like, hey, can we grow? Can we scale? Like how big can we take this? Or did you have like, look, we're happy with being, I don't know, maybe like, where we're at now to maybe, 500, loan officers, or like, what is how are you looking at scaling and growing from that standpoint? Like, what are you trying to build?
I think it was very unique to see everything unfold because we took a very organic approach at both recruiting and building. It was so we definitely had a mindset of we want to provide an abundance of value, and then we'll kind of like the field of dreams. We will build it and they will come.
Yep.
I've always thought that we could be up there with the big guys as far as the size of our company and the production. I've always cared deeply about creating a high producing originator as our default or as our average originator. So I definitely want to be up there with the big guys. I think that we have all the firepower to do it and the engine to do it. And that's always been a goal of ours. We built it with that in mind of scaling.
Gotcha. And then, so what was your biggest growth period over the last 5 years? Has it been last, 12, 24 months or right when you started, or has it just been kind of, gradual throughout these last 5 years?
It's really been pretty gradual. We've almost doubled in size every year. Really, we've gotten a lot of attention over the last 12 months. I would say people have started to notice and catch on. Our names become more of a household name. And, we have a lot of commitments. So I think that the sky's the limit. Next year, we'll be almost double the size all over again.
Gotcha. And then as far as how many states are you licensed in?
Joe, 36?
36.
Operations, yeah.
36 and
details. Sorry.
Yeah, I know. 36 and about 10 pending right now. So we're gangbusters on that. So
gotcha. And then as far as like channels, are you just true broker? Do you do correspondent? And like how are your channels made up right now?
Broker and correspondent. So we're hybrid.
Okay. Gotcha. All right, cool. And so when you're looking at kind of like, let's say the past 24 or I guess we're talking about 3 years. We're going back to 2022 when things started to shake up a little bit. How did you see that as an opportunity to grow because I mean, if you obviously same emails, same headlines that, I do as far as like, oh my God, all these people are leaving and, this and that. Yet I was seeing, brokerages that were playing it the right way, increase in size, increase in production. Even, when people are telling me there's no business to be had, I'm like, well, I'm talking to people that are having like record years. So how did you see that as an opportunity to kind of plant your flag and say, look, like, let's step on the gas and grow?
Joe, you want to go ahead or you want me to?
You can go ahead. I think ultimately what I think that what we focused on the experience like I talked about before, right? Because I do think that when times get hard, people need something and we try to be that need for them, right, John? Is that kind of what we were aiming to do for the most part?
Yeah, I'd say, our culture was great over the past 3 years. Even in a down market, you wouldn't really come into our office and feel that. Everyone was always smiles and optimistic. I would add just that it was a unique time in the industry to kind of shift patterns and grow in the tech space. And we've had such a shift in how we operate in the past 3 years with the adoption of AI and all the platforms being built off of it, that mortgage historically has been a very antiquated system, right? I mean, Encompass has ruled the world for a decade, and there hasn't been all too much. And then Arrive came out and it kind of took over. But other than that, it's been a pretty technology deprived industry. So I think that just that unique adoption of modern technology in the industry was a very big opportunity for us.
And so staying on that, the unique part, what are you guys doing that is different from what others are doing? Like give me some examples of some unique things you're doing, and I would like to know more of where are you seeing the opportunities with AI and technology, and how are you implementing them?
Yeah, one of the things that was important to us is we wanted to build proprietary. So all of our big investments were into our own coders, bringing our own product development to life.
Okay.
And trying to not make it where we patched together a ton of systems, but really created our own that intertwined with each other. And there was a lot of opportunity in your underserved areas like the back office. So we really invested into technology that runs the back office. And, being in so many states, we invested in a virtual office and just kind of empowering with technology that was our own, that couldn't be replicated. I wanted us to be very hard to recreate. So
Gotcha.
That was the biggest route we went. We didn't really go and stack a bunch of things on top of each other. We kind of built our own.
I love that. I love that approach because it allows you to control the tech stack as opposed to just accepting what's given to you. And as we all know, like what's given to most of the mortgage industry is not like solid modern tech. So you kind of have to do it. In fact, I want to say the first time you guys were the first ones that I saw that were using Roam, I think, which is your virtual office.
They've given us really nice integrations and such, and it feels like home. I could say that we've been using it. One of the first customers, and we've really adopted it in our mortgage flow. So if you set it up right, there's nothing better.
That's awesome. Yeah. So you guys were the first ones that I saw using it. And then when I joined AIM, we use it here at AIM. So it's definitely cool, obviously getting used to all of it. Now, when you're talking about like your back office and your proprietary technology that you're using, is that also integrated and you have that part of your Roam workflow as well?
Yeah. Between that, Arrive, and our proprietary system, we really kind of have a nice tripod of custom integrated and developed software that can speak to one another. So the back office runs more of like our organization of our lenders, scenario desk, commissions, your payrolls, your bank balances, little things like that are almost like more of employee intranet style, but also have different resources and tools as well.
And what if you're going, not if you're going to, because you're doing it already, but as leaders going into 2026, where do you see the most opportunities for what you guys are building? Like, what are you excited about?
Joe, you want to go ahead?
I'll let you guys both take it. Yeah.
Yeah. I think the biggest thing is just getting out in front of more people. I think one of the, I think we're going to see some really cool things with marketing come down our pike right now, which kind of goes hand in hand with our creativity, right? So you do a great job with marketing and just being creative and stuff like that. And I think there needs to be more of that within this industry, right? So we kind of want to definitely get on board to make sure that we're run alongside those creative people regarding marketing and hopefully leading the way in some points, right? And then just what John said, like we have some brilliant people who are putting together this proprietary technology. What we have already right now is absolutely wonderful. I mean, for point of reference, I processed my first loan on Calyx Point. And like that was like, you know, I mean, to think of what I knew then versus what I'm seeing now and what we've built, it's absolutely just wonderful. Just seeing what's going to come down with our internal system for like the 3.0 version. I think it's going to blow people away. It's going to blow our Empyreans away. It's going to blow people in the industry away as well.
Gotcha. And then Joe or John, what would you say?
I would say I'm just excited to see how the industry itself adopts to all the technology changes. You know, the one thing as far as the rules, the guidelines, how things are approved, credit reporting system, LOS changes, like how is the industry going to adopt all the new technology changes? I assume that the AUS system is going to get smarter. I assume it's going to adopt in credit guidelines, maybe how we verify things, how we even, view a credit report and come up with a credit report. I'm curious to see how scores change. So I'm really eager to see just how we adopt or adapt as an industry to all the new modern technology.
Yeah. So to the back office, are you guys already, is it, I'm assuming it is, but you let me know. It'd be interesting to hear how much, but as far as, kind of what the industry is doing, obviously we hear a lot about AI and AI being in this and that. What are you, doing internally since you were, managing your own stack? What are you doing, that you're excited about with AI?
We're doing a lot of things that aren't, I guess, the sexy play, right? Like we're forecasting our future commissions. We're analyzing KPIs. We're, hooking it up to all of our lenders and our scenario desks and having it constantly learn from all the different types of loans that we put in. Just really putting it behind your business. We're not focusing too much on the AI to consumer channel where we have like callers actually calling customers and whatnot. I think that's like the new virtual assistant. It's gonna, people will be less likely to help or, give business over time. So we're really trying to focus on AI to enhance the loan officer right now in the back end. Things like an AI coach. How many times have you made calls, translated to how many apps? So we want AI to be on board with breaking that down for you and telling a story about your business. So little things like that don't have as much flash, I guess you could say.
You know what's interesting about that, and I'm thinking both of you guys would agree with me, but to me, it's the not flashy, it's the unsexy stuff that is going to make like 80% of the difference of what's happening in the like what you talked about. To me, like that's where the game is being played. It's of course it's not like the sexy flashy stuff that everyone wants to talk about, and obviously with marketing and content that the AI, to me you try to have like an open mind about this stuff, because you're human. So, whenever change happens, you're like, oh, well, this is not like that. But to me, it's like we've had automated systems for a while now. And I don't think, just because the AI system makes it like a little bit nicer, people still don't like the automated systems. And I still haven't heard anything yet that makes that sound anywhere near like just a qualified person to talk to on the phone. And that's generally what most humans want, especially when we're dealing with something like this. It's not like they're shopping or doing like an Instacart, right? Like they're buying a home. So I don't think they want to turn that over completely automation in the future. Look, when that's just like, and it's, and you can't tell, then sure. But like right now, I think to me, that isn't the focus, I think. And so I'm glad that you said what you said, because to me, it's that stuff that's really going to make a difference, in my opinion, from companies, especially when we're looking at, when we're gonna, in 36 months do a hindsight and say like, who focused on like the stuff that was actually going to run like business metrics, measurable, results, and who was like worried about like how cool their CRM like campaigns were, you know what I mean? Like, and I think you guys have it the right way. And now, kind of segueing into something that definitely is sexy, something that definitely is flashy. Tell me about MortgageCon. I think, John or Joe, when you were telling me like kind of like where people are coming from, then I'm like, all right, well now it makes more sense. But how did MortgageCon, like, where did that idea come from? How did you decide? I mean, and having it where it's with Universal and everything else, like, tell me, give me the skinny on how this was birthed.
Man, so, John and I are brothers, right? And he has been wonderful to bring me along on this ride. One of the things that John likes to do is like, hey, I got an idea, right? And it always starts off with something like that. So this was 2023 in May, right? Hey Joe, I got an idea. I want to do a conference and we'll do this and we'll do that and it's going to be awesome and we'll figure it out, right? And I said, okay, we'll figure this out. So our initial concept is we wanted to do a mortgage cruise, right? We wanted like kind of like a captive audience thing. We know that there were those fan cruises out there. Unfortunately, my nephew was going to be due right around the time that we were going to book the contract. So that idea flew very quickly out. And when I mean nephew, I mean John's son. So clearly he couldn't miss the birth of his son for the first mortgage cruise. So we kind of pivoted and I thought about, you know what, I think we could do this in a theme park. And he kind of looked at me and he's like, I think we could too. So we started planning this thing in September, and that first year was in January. So we planned this thing in 5 months, right?
Wow.
And about 2 weeks beforehand, I walked into John's office, and I'm like exhausted and trying to figure this out. And I said, John, we're never doing this again. I'm like, we're absolutely never, ever going to do this again. And he looked at me and he agreed, right? So we get to the event. And it's small. It's about 100 people. We had 5 sponsors that first year. But again, we focused on the experience. We focused on making sure that people felt special. We made sure that people felt welcomed. We focused on individualized attention, and we put a little theme around it. Budget was a lot lower that first year. So, but as we were doing this, we started hearing the buzz in the room, like, wow, this is really cool. This is different. This feels different. And so literally we finished up that second day of seminars. And in that first year, we did the first day inside Universal. The second day was inside Hard Rock Cafe. They have a big concert area that we did, right? So we finished up, we walked out, everybody went into the park. And John sends out a text company-wide and says, guys, this was such a success, so there's no way we can't do this again. So I said, well, there goes that not doing this again thing. Here we are. So literally that weekend, we kind of sat down and started planning year 2. And the intent always was behind, John brought up the mortgage, the loan originator lifestyle, right? This is a lifestyle. This isn't a career to us, We're related to it. We're everything. So let's create something that's going to celebrate that, right? And that's what MortgageCon will always be. No matter how big it ever gets, no matter how much smaller it always gets, we want to make sure that the loan originators who are coming are celebrated. The content that's being put out there for people is meaningful. It's well thought out. It's curated by us. And then we're going to have some fun too, because if you're going to learn and you're going to develop yourself, it should be fun. I came from Disney, for crying out loud. So, everything has a storyline. We've developed, last year we went hard heavy in a storyline where we had an explorer. Her name was Cindy Anna Loans, and she was going to the temple of FHA to find the token of prosperity. And literally, Roberto, our chief creative officer, he went through and basically made movie after movie after movie, just progressing us through the storyline. And each speaker was brought into it. And the entire sound stage was made to look like a jungle. And, when we were doing press for the event and going on podcasts, a lot of people said, like, you're really going to do that? And then people saw the pictures of like, oh my gosh, they really did do that. They really did put this whole thing inside of a jungle, right? So, that's kind of MortgageCon in a nutshell. And I think that since we went from that first year in year 3, after we decided that we were going to move forward, I thought first year was proof of concept. Last year was our building year, our year that we kind of, got the word out about how cool this thing is. And then this year is going to be the full realization of what MortgageCon was always meant to be, right? It's going to be big. It's going to be bold. And, we got a killer lineup of speakers. And, I don't think there has ever been a mortgage event where you get 3 hours of a private event inside Hogsmeade one night and then inside Diagon Alley the next, right? Just something different. And people are going to be blown away.
Yeah. I look, I haven't been to one. Obviously I couldn't make it last year, but it's funny. The first time when I saw your first event, the MortgageCon, I didn't even look at like the speakers or anything. I just saw the name and I'm like, damn, right. Like it's a good idea, like just the name MortgageCon. Right. So I was like, damn, all right, missed the boat on that one. But, so I was all into it already. It's just like, that's just creative. And then, as you're talking through it, mortgage, as mortgage events are just, pale, stale, and frail. Like, I mean, that's just like generally what most mortgage events, and I could say this being kind of a lifer in the mortgage industry, and going to pretty much every event and seeing what's there. And again, not casting shade on any of it. It's just kind of like what has been like the norm, right? And when it's the norm, our industry, as I'm sure you guys will agree with, we have the tendency to be status quo, and if it's not broke, don't fix it. So we're just going to continue doing all that other stuff. You guys obviously changed that, so I can imagine a lot of people talking to you be like, oh, you really, you're going to do it there for a mortgage conference and this and that. And now, I really, as you guys keep doing this, I foresee this as being one of the greats, because it is so different, is unique. You do have I looking at the speakers from the previous ones and this one, like you have great people on there that know their stuff. And what I like is you have what I like when I look at speakers is I like to look for like true operators in the industry, like people that not just like are going to be overused, like, hey, use short form video, or hey, do this or that, but people that are like in the trenches and can get tactical. And it's like, it's one of the things that we wanted to do with, our speakers at Fuse. So I dig it, because looking at your lineup, you definitely, you have operators. And to your point, yeah, like in Universal, and I'm a Harry Potter, guy, and I know it's weird for a lot of people just because, I'm a sports guy, but like I love the family. We're all Harry Potter. I have a wand. I have my Slytherin hat. Like I'm already equipped for it. So I'm excited for for February. But how many, like, so what's the capacity? Like, do you have a capacity, or what are you guys shooting for 2026 as far as like how many people do you want at this event?
We're shooting for upwards of 400 for this event, right?
Okay.
We're getting to capacity soon, especially on that room block right now. I think from doing Fuse, those room blocks go quick, right? But there's different ways that people can experience this. And one of the coolest things was Kyle Draper. This will be his third time speaking at this event, right? And I was talking to him about coming back, and he goes, what's so cool about your event is, you go to develop yourself at some of these events, and you go for your why. Like, you go for the people, to develop yourself to be better for your family, to be better for your coworkers, for your leaders, for the people who work for you, right? Mm-hmm. This is an event where you can bring your why with you, like bring your family with you, right? This is family friendly. We have options where people can just buy tickets just to go to the private events at night, because nobody likes, 400 people, and Hogsmeade probably has a capacity for close to 5,000. So you do the math. Nobody's waiting in line for anything, right?
Yeah.
It's gonna be big. And the thing that I like to market MortgageCon as the boutique mortgage event, mainly because every detail that we put, from the lineup of speakers, like, bringing those operators on stage, like, I get creative. John makes sure that the content that's going there and being put on stage is worthwhile for everybody sitting in the room. He's going to make sure that that people are going to leave with tangible items that they can use for the rest of the year. And then the details that I kind of bring in from what I learned from Disney is just the bag that we're handing out to people needs to look cool and needs to feel the theme of the event. We have 4 event t-shirts, each talking about the different realms. We have 4 realms that are going to be competing with each other this year. A lot more surprises like that, but boutique event, because we focus on those things, and the people who are going to leave there are going to feel very, very special. And that's the intent that we want from beginning to end.
Yeah. It's funny, as I definitely have someone that's done events, that I've had that same, we're not doing this again, not, you know what I mean? And then you get, then it goes great, right? It's kind of like, it's like when you play golf, and I'm terrible at golf. And then you have that one hole where you're putting for birdie or putting for par, and you're like, all right, this is all worth, this is awesome. And then you have horrible, another, 8 holes or whatever. But at the same thing is like, you're like, oh man, like all the work. See, I don't think people truly, until you put on like an event, right? Something where there's a lot of moving parts, hotel room blocks, and then there's a huge investment. People don't really appreciate what goes on in an event, and it is stressful. It is, there is a lot of things to manage. So I've definitely been on there like, not doing this one again. Can't. And then you have the event. Everyone loves it. It's great, party time. And then you're like, all right, like I guess we're doing that. And then I appreciate John being the mortgage guy of like, hey, there's no way we're not doing one again. So, that's it's done. It's in a text message, so we can't walk it back. So it's a sneaky play that I'm used to by, a lot of other leaders in the mortgage industry. So, being a creative on the other end, like, yeah, hey, well, we got it. Let's, we got a marching order, so let's make it happen. And I want to say I'm thankful to all of you guys for including me in this year's slate. So I'm really, really excited to be there. I can't wait to, just see what you guys have in store and set up. And for those of you listening, if you're watching this, you're going to see the link to get your tickets in the show notes. I told both John and Joe my now that Fuse is over and I don't really have any events to market, that I'm going to go all in on MortgageCon and try to help you guys any way I can to sell out this bad boy. Because one is I think having people there, as many people there is just going to be great in general. But more importantly, I think what I am excited about is I want people that have either been like, and I'm sure you've seen it too. Some people are like, well, I'm not going to Fuse. I'm not going, mortgage events have become blah. So I'm not going. I'm like kind of being picky and choosy. But I think this can be an event that kind of like sparks people to like see how fun, these things can be. And with, when you get the right, because I think this will attract the right level of people with like mindset. And what I mean by that is like mindset, people that want to have fun, it's a lifestyle, to your point. So I love how you put that. John, I love how you put, we're trying to create something that can't be easily replicated. So I love how you put that too. And so I think when you have people in something where they're like, okay, what is this really going to be? So they don't really know, but they have an idea. Or the people that have like, look, I've been to, the MBA and all these other mortgage events. And then they get there and realize, look, we got a great group of people. Even 400 is a lot of people. I don't think like it's a lot of people, but even then it's not so big to where you can't find people to have good conversations with. And it's one thing that I talked about Fuse is that like, hey, what we put together is great, but more importantly is those conversations, those new people you meet and stuff like that. That's where the real transformation happens. So I'm excited for it because I want people that have just said like mortgage events can only be this way. Then they just go like, all right, here's a shock to the system. Here's a pattern interrupt, different, creative, fun, and more importantly, impactful, right? Like things that that are going to help them grow their business. And then what I also love is that this that I've seen is that you guys seem to have been very deliberate about not making this like an Empire thing, right? Like obviously you make the connection, but like I wouldn't even know if I didn't know, you know what I mean? Like you wouldn't even know. And so I think making it an agnostic event for everyone to come in and to enjoy, I think was a great idea.
Yeah. And the hope, Jason, was to try and get all of our skills together to raise money for charity. I know like we're not part of an association. You're right. I didn't want it to be an Empire focus. And it wasn't some Trojan horse for a recruiting event. It was more... yeah. It was more just like a great, we all had this idea of a great way to utilize our skills to try and raise money for a good cause and have a lot of fun while we're doing it. So we had a lot of fun making it.
Yeah. And that's what I've heard from people that have attended it. And that's where that there, and look, the reason why people are that way is because there is a lot of Trojan horse events, webinars, and stuff like that under the guise of being valuable or agnostic, and it's anything but. You see that a lot in the coaching world as too, with coaching groups. So it's good. And the people I talked to said they said the same thing, is that more of like, hey, you wouldn't even know it was an Mpire event, other than the Cybertruck, obviously that tends to leave a little bit of a mark. But other than that, it's just great people. You have people from different mortgage companies, competitors, right? Like that's just how it is. But I think the broker channel that's one thing that's great about what I love about the broker channel, is that even though everyone is technically a competitor, it's just one big, just one big family, right? And we all tend to have fun together, and I think this event is going to be awesome. I can't wait. I'm counting the days to be down there with you guys, and like I said, it's I'm really looking forward to it. So as we wrap, I always is there anything that, like, if someone wants to, obviously we'll put the links into stuff, but but I do want to, because this is the broker journey, and if someone is interested in learning more about Mpire and what you guys are building, and I don't know if you guys need sponsors for MortgageCon still or not, but if what's the best way for that? Who should they connect with? What's the best route for them to go?
Definitely connect with Joe.
Joe's waiting for it. He's like, all right, I'm just waiting.
All of my communication is a Dead Sea. So you can find me on Moto_loans on Instagram, MortgageCon2026.com. But Joe, why don't you tell them where to find you?
Yeah, LinkedIn is probably my most social. I'm Joe Motowidlak on there, obviously. From a networking perspective, that's kind of where I go to for the most part. But, just dates for MortgageCon, it's February 1st through the 4th. Everybody loves to get out of the snow during that time, and the weather's pretty darn awesome down here. And then, like John said, we are still looking. We have a handful of sponsor spots left. Like I 4 is kind of where we're at. And then I do anticipate that we will be sold out by the beginning of next year going, so don't wait till the last minute, guys. Get them, because like I said, our capacity is 400. And I do have to start a wait list after that. So just, check us out on the website in order to get more information, full lineup of speakers and full itinerary too. So.
Awesome. And here's a thing that I'm gonna tell everyone in the audience right now. Look, you all wait till the absolute last second to freaking book stuff. And I'll tell you, and like it was the same with Fuse. We had over that last week, we probably had almost 200 people come in and register in that last week, right? We had 46 just in one day, and we had people walk up. We had people that got tickets, actually came to Nashville and just done it. And guys, look, I've been doing mortgage events for a while. Always our biggest rush is always like closer to the deadline. And we had stuff sell out. We had like our WMN summit sell out and whatnot. And, we couldn't facilitate all the last second requests. So I'm telling you right now, this isn't like some marketing ploy or some like false sense of urgency. I'm telling you, you guys do this. You guys assume, oh, I'm going to be able to talk to someone and I'll be able to get in or do that. It doesn't. And then we catch heat for it, like we did at Fuse. And it's like, you can't always do that. There's a lot of planning that goes in. So do not wait if you want it. And I'm telling you guys, look, I'll probably fly this time, but I generally I'll drive down to Orlando. It's like a 7-hour drive from where I'm at. So if you're in Florida, you're in South Carolina, you're in Georgia, if you're around a drivable distance, come down to Orlando Universal Studios. This is going to be a fun event, right? Like, hey, come for the content, stay for the rides. Like, this is just going to be a quality event. You got great speakers, you got great hosts, you got a great venue. Orlando, like, Joe was talking about, Orlando is really, really nice in February. I've experienced that myself. So guys, you're going to see everything in the show notes. But again, I want to stress, if you're thinking about it, stop, go to MortgageCon 2026, get your tickets, get part of that room block, be a part of what they're putting together. You will not be disappointed. Well, hey, John, Joe, thank you so much for hanging with me on the broker journey. I'm glad to get to know you guys a little bit more, and we'll continue to do so. And And thank you for sharing your story and what you're building with Mpire. I truly think it's something creative, something different. And for those that know me, knows that like those are the two things that I care most about. So if it's different, creative, I'm all in on it. So guys, again, thank you so much for your time. And hey, if you're out there and you want to be featured on the broker journey, you think you have a good story, you think you have something that's going to help the broker channel, let me know. You could email me at fraser@brokercmo.com. Thank you for all the support. Thank you for all the subscribes. I really, really appreciate it. Until next time, I hope you guys have an amazing day. Take care.